The gentleman yields. I now recognize another immigrant to this country who obtained a PhD and is a great American, but legally, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Mr. Thanadar, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Ranking Member. Sheriff Hathaway, in your testimony, you talked about your family's long history of ranching in Arizona and the importance of seasonal farm workers to sustaining America's farms and ranches. Yet, Trump's Project 2025 calls for limiting seasonal workers' visas and the number of legal immigrants eligible for work authorization. This is exactly the opposite direction we need to go at a time when grocery store bills are a struggle for many Americans. We need to support our farmers, ranchers to make sure they have the workforce they need to get their food into stores at a reasonable price. What do you want Congress to know about the workforce shortage that Arizona ranchers and farmers are facing?
I have heard directly from the farmers and ranchers, and bear in mind, a lot of these are Republicans and Democrats that are frustrated that the Farm Modernization Act has not passed. It has sat there for years. It would allow more of the visas you're talking about, the H-2A agricultural visas, and it hurts productivity. It raises costs. And if the costs go up to the supplier, they go up to the retailer. The prices in the grocery stores are higher. So as I said in my opening remarks, it helps price inflation to have a guest worker program, to have seasonal workers be able to come into the U.S. and help the farms with productivity. You know, obviously it would be great if they could hire Americans, if they could find enough Americans to do the seasonal work. If that's not the case, we have a border with Mexico, and Mexico, for the most parts, is not eligible for the asylum program because it is designated by countries, and there's not considered to be political persecution in Mexico as there is in other countries like Venezuela, so they're not designated for the asylum program. And yet we share a land border with them. 80% of their external GDP involves trade with the U.S. It would just make sense to focus on a guest worker program to help reduce cost in the U.S., make the cost of living more affordable for all of us.
Let me ask you, if we create proper legal pathways for immigration, what would that do to the issues currently we are facing at border security?
Well, I think it would be less pressure on the asylum program. There would be parameters set by Congress. You would have less tendency for presidents, the executive branch, to try to dictate policy to the Congress. I think Congress should take control of this issue, decide whatever they decide. You're the lawmaking body, and don't just leave it to the executive branch to make ad hoc decisions on what should be done along the border. So I think this is in the hands of Congress. You should move with it. The time is right. We've been talking for years about comprehensive immigration reform. It's in the news. It's the number one issue when you poll Americans. What do they care about the most? The immigration issues. This is something that Congress needs to handle. You're the boss. You run the policy, and you should tell the president what to do in these areas.
So the Congress, has the ability to do the comprehensive immigration reform that's badly needed, and this is something that we need to act on a bipartisan way.
That's correct.
Yeah. Thank you, and I yield back.
The gentleman yields. A young lady representative from Georgia, Ms. Green, the gentlelady, recognized for question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really like this